Hey, it looks like we got a couple people watching already. Would you go ahead and just try out the chat? Try out the chat comments and make yourselves known to me. And I am sending out a link right now to the class. Hang on a second. Mike Ox. Okay, so is anybody, let me see. CYOD, sorry, just trying to get this thing sent out. YOD, yeah, that's the one. All right, just sent the link out to the class. Then I've got an echo that I've got to get rid of. Okay, that should kill the echo. All right, I'm showing 6 people right now viewing. Would you guys mind chatting? Just drop a couple comments. Thank you. All right, awesome, Travis. So sounds okay, right? I've got the earbud, which usually gives me slightly better sound than trying to go off of the built-in mic or whatever. And then what we'll do, we'll give this, it's 8:30, but we'll give it a couple minutes. Ammon, all right. Cameron, student. So good to see you here, student. Let's see. All right. Hey, Bataya. Sweet. We got 10. I don't know what our critical mass is for 8:30 on the interwebs, but, and I want to pull up our sort of stuff. So, okay, while we're kind of firing up here, where are we? Right there. All right. Hey, Devin, Mason. All right. Yeah, I'm going to give it, I'm not sure how many minutes to give it. This will show up as a recorded video on my YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch it later on. And also, just keep in mind that the comments will be part of the video. So when you go back, you'll see the comments. So make anything you don't want to have publicly seen, don't put it in the comments, because this will be publicly available. Okay, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to do this. Regarde. This is one of the actually kind of cool things about this that we don't have. We don't have it in class as readily, right? In class, I'm always like monkeying around with trying to get logged in or whatever. Okay, I'm showing 13 I don't even know how many students we have in this class. But, let me try to fix something. Okay, that is the end of it. All right. So what we've actually got, in case anybody's interested, okay. So I think 832, we got 17 bodies. So first of all, 19. Got 19. 20. I honestly don't even know how many students are in this class. That's just, isn't that dumb? I can find out, but okay, hang on. I know how to tell. The last time we did a roll, how many people were here? 15, 18, 21. There were 27 in class the last time we did a roll, so let me just give it another minute. But while we're doing this, I want a couple of ground rules. This actually has turned out to be in many respects actually better than the in-class, in the sense that, like, I can just drop in, jump on the schedule, jump on things online, play a video, jump on the slides, and without having to worry about what I previously had dropped onto my flash drive or whatever. So that part's actually quite a bit easier. The comments become more kind of a permanent part. And so the one thing that I don't have with this is face action, face-to-face. So so number one, the laptop rule has been suspended. The no laptop rule has been suspended hereby. And the no cell phone rule, and the you can't attend class in your skivvies rule has been suspended. And that's the beauty of not having multi-directional video chat, is I don't really care what you're looking like right now at 8:30, and no need to move to class. So there's also a commute advantage, right? Which is, I'm enjoying that one too. And some of you guys are coming down from Salt Lake, and I'm just coming down from Lehigh. So, I'm only 20 minutes away, but for some of you, this is significant. So congrats. And for some of you, it is helping your bosses to understand that in high tech, you actually don't have to be physically parked on the premises in order to be productive. And in many respects, you can be a lot more productive when you're not. So if anybody's interested, okay, so yeah, number one, laptop rule suspended. Number two, hey, Dason. Number two, kind of rules of engagement. So there's no facial contact. And as we're talking about stuff, the only thing, and the no babies rule is also suspended. Yes, unless your baby, starts whacking the keyboard, in which case that it's just on the record as that's your chat. And this, by the way, this is my baby right here. This is, it's the best I got, right? So if this, if he starts like pounding the keyboard, then you'll kind of know what's going on. This is all I got in self-isolation, man. I got Hubert. It's all I got, but he keeps me company. This is what I've been reduced to here in the quarantine, right? I'm Will Smith, basically, in I Am Legend. And fortunately, I don't have a dog, so we don't have to go down that road. So, spoiler. No, so there's no face-to-face give and take, and so the only thing I've got to gauge from are the comments or the chat. So if you've got a question, obviously that's where we can use the chat for. Questions, comments. The good news is, whereas you talking to somebody else in the class and being disruptive, was like a problem previously here, it doesn't matter, It doesn't matter. So you can just drop in whatever your snarky comments are. Doesn't matter. And if you're getting stuff or understanding stuff, give me the verbal head nod, give me the hearty amen, give me whatever your method is for showing me that you're tracking. Okay. Or the confused, whatever, give me some, whatever you want to use some emojis, use some whatever. But that'll help me to kind of gauge, give me a little bit of interactivity. It helps a lot. I'm okay talking to myself, me and Hubert. We just do it all the time, but it's a little better when I've got a little, feedback from everybody. Okay, and then the other thing that I wanted to just throw out was the way we're going to do roll for this is you just drop in the comments. And if you've got a bizarre name, a bizarre, not necessarily bizarre, but if I can't derive your actual name from your little, whatever it is, your handle, most of you have your actual name there. And if you've got some other handle and I can't tell, then just, like Travis did, just tell me your name so I know you're here. That's how we're going to do roll, okay? And then we're at 23, so I think it's probably going to be pretty good. The first question I've got is just kind of how everybody's doing and what we're going to try to do for the rest of the semester. If anybody's interested, I can tell you a little bit about what I'm doing here from a configuration perspective on doing this broadcast. If anybody's, this is kind of, I wouldn't ask that question, maybe in a humanities class, but since we're kind of CS, well, we're not kind of CS, we are CS, and we're a little more, tech savvy, tech friendly audience. If anybody's interested, I'm happy to kind of show you what I'm doing, and in case you're interested. All right. What else? Oh yeah, I just wanted to check and see how everybody's doing. I've been reduced to drinking Diet Dr. Pepper at 8:30 in the morning. That's where I'm at, okay? Hang tight. Yeah, this will keep me going. Don't judge. For those of you that I've seen pounding a Monster or whatever it is you drink, or a mochaccino frappe latte, or whatever you eat, drink to stimulate yourself first thing in the morning, whatever. We're in the no judge zone, unless I bust out these bad boys, and then really I think that some shaming is, I'm open to a little of that shaming. All right. So, Nathaniel, do we have test 2? I don't know. We got to figure it out. Honestly. So, I'm bookmarking that, Nathaniel. So first of all, I just wanted to check and see how you guys are doing. And I want to just kind of share a little bit about, Monster. Trevor. Yeah. Monster is the lifeblood, but Dr. Pepper is the nectar of the gods. So I think I win the point on that one. Let me see. So Nathaniel, we did not have test 2. That's correct, Joseph. We didn't do test 2. We sort of pushed it off to spring break. Nathaniel, I'm really sorry, and I think you may have emailed me, and it's all been in my kind of Mondo backlog, for which I apologize. But so here's what happens when these sorts of what do you want to call this thing? Large scale events, large scale. These are crazy. These are crazy times. So Trevor, I'm just curious if that's a reference to Gary Goldman, because there's probably some extra points for you if that is. But just if you don't mind, Trevor, I'm just curious. Anyway, when you get to these kinds of Erica, okay, when you get to these kinds of moments, I don't know what happens to you guys, but it's really distracting. It's really, you recognize that something, really significant's going on. And, Dason, you guys have, many of you have prepared for this your whole life. And like I say to one of my sons is a serious gamer. He's interestingly enough, the CS major. And I'm just like, I just pat him on the head and just say, just keep doing what you've been doing. You're doing great, son. No problem. For those of you that are the extroverts that need a hug, I am just so seriously sorry because it's harder. I recommend get yourself, you know. By the way, you got to admit that that is a freaking cute monkey. Don't you? Isn't that? Where is it? Here's my camera. That is a freaking cute monkey, and he's good for the snuggles. He's all sometimes, for those that are a little more touchy feely, like myself. You got to have it. So it's tough. Anyway, I just want you to know that one of the things that happens is, for me anyway, these things hit, and all of a sudden it's like I can't. I know I'm supposed to be like grading, and you're like, who gives a rip? I'm supposed to be whatever doing my homework, and it's like, wow, really it's really hard to focus, and this happens sometimes in our lives. I mean, for me, the last time I can remember kind of culturally, societally feeling like this, it was 9/11. And I know that was, 19 years ago, 18 and a half years ago. So some of you guys were pretty young, or maybe like literally not old enough to remember it. But, when that happened, it was just really hard for a couple of weeks, it seemed like, to just care about all the other crap. You knew that the world had sort of just changed and it wasn't going to be the same again. I kind of feel similarly about this sort of situation. So one of the consequences of that is it just becomes really hard. And I just want you to know that I'm in the same boat. It becomes really, really, yeah, Devin, it was the most unproductive, for me, yeah, very unproductive spring break, right? It's so distracting. And the things I can relate it to are, so 9/11 was a big one for me in terms of just kind of culture and life, and also like, death of a loved one. I mean, even if you don't have people that are specifically suffering, I do. I've got a really good friend, longtime friend in Italy, who's up in the north, and he is right in the epicenter, and he's currently 10 or 11 days into COVID-19, and his entire family. So he's up near Milan, which is really the epicenter for Italy, the worst hit area, right, where it's so bad. Anyway, he's about my age. But even yeah. So student, we're gonna talk about. We can talk about that. Let's bring these things back up. Anyway, just saying, I am highly motivated to. I know some of you are like, "Woot!" Let's take advantage of this whole thing. But irrespective of taking advantage, it's just freaking hard to just care. That's the bottom line. And so, as a byproduct, I just want you to understand that I understand. That's bottom line. I just want you to know that I get it, and I'm going through the same thing, with that level of struggle, to get super motivated. So that just means let's just figure out how to get out of here. Let's do this thing in a proper way without getting crazy. And you know what I mean? So that's my bottom line. So, okay, let me just double check. Yeah, thanks, Erica. He's okay, but it's been like 10 days of fever, and I didn't have a chance yet to ask him. We've just been chatting on Facebook. But the other thing that happens in Italy is there's a lot of multi-generational families. That's like almost the norm in Italy, is the multi-generational family. So they were like more or less self-isolating, and then the daughter. This was literally, I can't say it, but it was literally like only 11 or 12 days ago. It was already a well-known issue. So they were already kind of self-isolating where we are now. And the 30-year-old daughter just brings it home, and then next thing you know, grandpa and grandma are going down, and pretty soon everybody, and I don't think anybody has died in their family. I'm not sure. I think he would have mentioned it. So anyway, so things we got to talk about. I'm just making a couple notes. Nathaniel brought up test 2, so let's make sure we talk about that. Erica said coffee is the nectar of Mother Earth, and I just don't like the taste. Sorry, Erica. But Anyway, but I like the smell. Let me be honest. Okay, where are we at? And we talked about Cameron, aka student, suggested we make the Java project. So I want to let's talk about the Java project, whether we should make that extra credit. I'm just writing them down, not because I'm believing, but just because, yeah, Travis says let's make the whole class extra credit. Yeah, beautiful, Travis. Yes, Devin. No, Devin, we are not going to convert our dictatorship to a democracy. This remains a benevolent dictatorship. Okay. Yeah, Ammon loafing. Yes, that has been really hard. Spring break was, but on the other hand, it was. I think it was nice to have spring break to sort of take the brunt, right? Because in one of the classes, I think it was my Monday Wednesday class, the Wednesday before spring break. Oh, and by the way, my trip to LA actually got canceled at the last minute, and the week before spring break for all of this same stuff. And so I didn't even go to LA. So yes, I did make it back safe in the sense that I didn't leave. But let me see. Yeah, so I feel like having spring break was not bad. I mean, having just a little more room to absorb the blow a little bit. Just an emotional look. It's an emotional shock, when you watch what's going on. So. Cameron, yeah, we're going to come to it. We're going to get back to it, Cameron. And Travis, yeah, I don't know. Thanks. I do care. To me, I don't know. I'm just old and wise or something, So, I don't know, man. There's just more important stuff than activation records. That's all I'm saying. Now, eventually, we got to get down to activation records. So that's all. We got to get to it. I did want to throw, I got the schedule, right? And you can kind of see the little mouse factor. It's not big. I got to work on, some kind of a pointer situation. But yeah, so Eric, I'm kind of agreed on an Ammon on spring break kind of helping absorb the blow. I really think that's true. So yeah, Idrisu, it's just, yep, right with you. So, okay, is anybody interested, and it's okay if you're not, I just want to, if anyone wants to satisfy their curiosity, because in yesterday in 3450, which was my first day, back doing these, I had one student who had in-laws that were, teaching, I don't even know what the context was, and his wife came kind of rolling through while he was just watching class. And apparently everyone's trying to scramble to do some kind of live delivery mechanism. So for me, because I've always traveled a lot, if you remember when that was a thing, I would always wind up doing at least a few classes, like every, Travis, some of them were actually part of, worked with Oppenheimer on that project back in World War II. But anyway, I would always have at least a couple classes every semester that I would just do remote. And historically, what I would do is I would use Google Hangouts on Air, which was actually the precursor to YouTube Live, which is what we're doing right now. And then they discontinued Google Hangouts on Air. And if you're interested, you just have to have a YouTube channel. And then the one thing you have to get the fancy schmancy, the picture and then the screen. And you can actually set it up. You can overlay all kinds of things on that screen, but you've got to have an encoder. And so I use OBS, which is an open source encoder that works for the Mac, works for Windows. Some of them, there's like XSplit, and there's a few others that like only work on Windows. And so, in that case, you don't have, hang on a second, I need to shift something here. Anyway, you don't have the option of, I've got a MacBook, right? So that's my struggle. I'm just trying to do a little bit of a screen shift on my, so basically what happens with the encoder Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's better. All right, you can't see what I'm doing. There's basically a main screen, and then I've actually got, as you can see, there's my external monitor right there. So that's what you see, but you see it broadcast because I've set up an encoder. OBS is an encoder. So it basically just takes any part of my environment that I say, which in this case is my camera straight here on the laptop itself, and then the screen from the external monitor, and then and I can actually configure those, kind of like, just as an example, I can literally just change it, change the layout, change I don't remember where the ratio was on that. Now, I can shrink stuff, make that guy smaller, bigger, kind of just play with the layout for the screen. So it's super handy. Then what happens is, and by the way, I know I'm breaking the rules. I'm all alone by myself, touching my face. I can't help it. It's the morning and my nose always itches in the morning. I don't know, but I'm not touching anybody, okay? Anyway, so if anybody's interested in doing sort of like, video podcasts or things of that sort, that's the setup. And then what happens is that OBS basically just takes this configuration that I've given it, and then it generates a stream. And then you just have to connect that stream, connect the pipes. So then I just go over to YouTube, go to live stream. There's a stream key that actually is provided by YouTube Live, and then I just give that key to the encoder, and that just basically tells the encoder, where in my world to sort of give the stream to, and then YouTube takes that stream obviously and pushes it out to the world where you guys are. I'm seriously sorry about. I know I'm breaking all the rules, but again, I'm literally all alone in this house, so it's I am quarantined effectively. Okay. Anyway, that's what's going on with the live stream. So in case you're interested, and then anyway, the student in 3450 actually kind of like just asked to talk to me afterwards, and then he was just curious, like, what are you doing with that? So he could tell his in-laws, because his wife had walked by and said, that's what they need to be doing, basically. And it works out pretty well. Okay. Anyway, that's the configuration stuff. And then again, I just want to say before we're totally off of the current, the pandemic and the crisis, just understand that it's disruptive. Under the best of circumstances, this is really, really disruptive, emotionally disruptive. And education and learning is fundamentally an emotional activity. Okay, and so is engineering work, by the way. Engineering work is an emotional activity. It's one of the classic speeches that I've always given when I'm teaching software engineering and managing software, is that software engineering, software development is an emotional activity. So if you're not emotionally sort of freed up, you can't produce, you can't create. Okay, so creativity requires emotion basically as one of the raw materials. So if you don't have the right emotion or the emotions, you're burned out. Family life's going to hell. Your own health is going to hell. If stuff somewhere in your supportive backdrop is going to hell, then you're going to be emotionally constrained, which means you cannot be as productive or creative in your work. And remember when we talked about the orders of ignorance, I'm going to bring it back to the orders of ignorance. I'm going to. But the number one thing you do when you are a developer, an engineer, is learn. Literally, it is the number one activity for an engineer, is to learn. And so there's not really any difference fundamentally between what you do for money and what you do here for your education. So what I guess I'm saying is that it's hard enough in the best of times, just to deal with the crap. But some of you are already dealing with struggles, with anxiety, with depression, and with, or just family circumstances and, whatever it happens to be. So I just want you to know that with this extra thing just dumped on top of everything, that I'm going to be pretty danged accommodating on deadlines. I mean, let's try to keep up. Let's try to stay together and keep up so it doesn't just become a free-for-all and then you don't get finished. But if you need, a little dose of encouragement, you know, let's kind of stick together on this thing. The other thing that I'm going to do, and I'm actually going to do it right now, but I am going to just create, I was going to do this earlier, but it's all right. I am going to create a Discord server for the class. Bottom line is my world of, hang on a second. My world of email has turned into an absolute nightmare. By the way, that is the link to join the Discord server. And here's the deal, basically, my promise is that I am going to be more regularly on Discord as kind of like my office hours replacement, which I think makes some sense, right? But also, if you can catch me anytime on Discord, and then we can jump on video chat easily enough. And if you don't have Discord, you need to get it anyway. And if you need to jump on video chat, audio chat, text chat, ping me about whatever, jump on individual, chat, post things to the class, whatever. I'm going to basically we'll use that Discord server. Okay. Yeah, so man, Idrisu, everybody needs to join the new generation. It's 2020, you know what I mean? Yeah, so Dason, yeah. So we have the sounds of Discord everywhere, which is just fantastic. So 16 are already online on Discord. And if you don't have Discord, 2 offline, 18. If you don't have Discord already, okay, you can either download the app or you can jump on the web interface. But I think it's state of the art right now. Basically, it's Discord or Slack, and I think in your rising generation, it's really more Discord. So, okay, so yeah, we got that, and so really, and what I want to basically just say is, if things are just a struggle, don't explain. You don't even have to explain. Don't get me on there and like, Dr. K, you can share if you want to share, but if you're just like, hey, listen, it's been hard and I'm behind, get out of jail free card. We'll work with you on the deadlines. That's bottom line. So you don't have to, go into any, deep explanations or feel apologetic or I'm really sorry, I don't want to be the exception. Seriously, don't worry about it. Okay. So, Ammon, let me know what you're thinking about. You said you recommend right-clicking and adjusting notifications. That's for each individual. Right. Okay. That's for individuals. Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure if that was to me. I still feel like a little bit of a noob when it comes to Discord. So I do feel like a noob. Slack, I was all in and out of Slack, but now Discord's sort of a new thing. I mean, I've been using it for like a year, but you know what I mean? Okay. I want to talk a little bit about, just kind of where we're at with the schedule. And by the way, I want to just say that's something that is kind of cool about this configuration with OBS. I really am liking OBS as an encoder for the live stream. I've got the ability to, if I move my mouse off the screen, it goes to my laptop, and then from here I can do what I do. But if I slide it back over onto the external monitor, then you get the mouse that you see here, and then I can actually remotely control my screen while looking. I don't have to look left, where the real mouse and screen are. I've got a sort of a virtual screen here that's actually interactive, so I can actually move around, click on stuff, and what have you, which is really nice. Oh, great! I just got a text from my daughter, who's now talking about a dry cough. That's great. Oh, man. Okay, so here's where we are. I'll give you an update on that as I learn how people are doing. We wrapped up at the end of, just before spring break. We shifted on a few of you that were that hadn't been in class or tracking with that. But again, if we have Discord, I think we're going to do a little bit better job with getting everybody updated. we did homework day that last day, and then we were going to come back, and so I didn't have class on Tuesday. I was given the option from the university to start back Wednesday and later, to kind of skip Monday, Tuesday, and I actually did because I'm in a new place, and until Tuesday afternoon, I did not have the interwebs here in this house, and of course, that was a backlog. So there was like an 11-day backlog, and I was not getting Wi-Fi because it was like, or internet access because it's like, oh, I need internet now. I got to stop watching network television on my broadcast or whatever. I just was moving and setting it up, and it just happened to hit. So I was suddenly in a 2-week queue, and I sent an email to those guys who just like, oh, I'm kind of a play. I actually played the I am a professor at UVU, I literally played the "It's for the children" card, and I was hooked up within 24 hours. So I actually it was for the children, but I didn't have that until Tuesday afternoon. So then I was good, green light go yesterday. So and I was running experiments, tethering off my phone, which the unlimited data on T-Mobile is actually quite good, but I was trying to tether off my phone. It was a disaster, so that was not going to work. Anyway, so I haven't updated what the schedule says because really, we had a couple of like module reviews, midterm reviews. You know what I mean? We have built-in flex. And so really, let's just consider yesterday to basically have been a homework day. And today is kind of this Dr. K logic program. So I do want to do a little lecture. Heck, let's do a little something that's valuable. Oh, there's a homework day we can cheat right there. Okay. Right there is a homework day we can cheat and scoochy it up. And then shove this back, project days. Now, okay, we have to talk about this. Oh, and I've not forgotten about test 2 or about the Java project extra credit. I think, no, student. I don't think we should make the Java project extra credit. I'm just looking at the comments. We got anybody screaming and moaning about that? But I do think, well, let's jump on, hit me up on Discord. Cameron, hit me up on Discord, or anybody else that's still struggling. I won't worry about the deadline on that. But here's why I don't want to make that extra credit. What I was trying to do with that Java project was, we did fairly easy, we did some stuff that was relatively easy in terms of memory management, right? Doing the best fit, worst fit, first fit, But one of the things I wanted to try to do, yeah, so go ahead, Cameron. Go ahead, but I will take it, unless some people really jump on and support the motion. Yeah, so Nathaniel, it's all fine. I mean, if you're done, you're done. That's good. It's off your plate. So that's actually really good. And I want to hear about the beastness. So Jake just said, finished the project, but it was a beast. I'm just curious about what was brutal about it. The thing I really wanted to do was get you guys to think about, the nature of knowledge, I don't know. We could talk a little bit about it. It's a little bit kind of epistemology, ontology. I don't know what. I don't want to get overly philosophical about it, but I do want to say that when you're you guys, this is kind of a senior class. I know not everybody's a senior. But wait. So Travis, I want to make sure I understand. You said Tyler's grading is pretty reasonable. You got to be 100% perfect to get a good grade. I don't think that's true. Is that true? I'm not sure. Obviously, we can control that, and Tyler's certainly a very reasonable guy. But no, here's what I want to get at. You guys, when you go out of here, you get your degree. And some of you are already in industry, but you're going to have more responsibilities after your post degree. And what I want to be able to help you guys do is think about the question. What I want you to do is think about the question of how you know what you know, it's a little bit like the orders of ignorance, but it's some other skills. And we might want to take a little bit of time down the stretch here. And I've got a lecture that I think might help a little bit, just to think about research, think about stats and data. Let me see. I just wanted to double check what Travis had meant. Oh, you don't have to be 100% perfect to get a good grade. Yeah, that's the intent. So thanks, Travis, for that clarification. Oh man, Mike. Yeah, so the author's approach. Yeah, this summer, maybe I can fix it all this summer. I don't know, in the mythical future when all things are possible. But anyway, you guys are going to find yourselves in a position where you've got to be the ones to make a decision. You know, you're whatever. You're working on some team, and maybe you're building a memory management system or something else, but you've got to be the one to make a decision about how, what are you going to use, right? Somebody's going to be pitching for one thing, and you might feel intuitively like you want to do another thing. I will tell you this. The ease of implementation, unless it's like a couple orders of magnitude different, the ease of implementation more often than not should not be your primary motivation as to what method you use, what methodology you use, right? I don't mean method in an object. I just mean, the methodology that you employ in making a decision about what to do. That should not just be because, well, this one is easier. That's right. That's like the old stupid joke, right, about the guy who's crawling around on the ground, under a street light. The cop comes up. The guy's kind of drunk or whatever. You can embellish the joke however you want, right? And then this cop rolls up and he's like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on?" And he's like, "I lost my keys." And so the cop starts looking around. He's like, "Where'd you lose them?" And he said, "Down the block." And he says, "Why are you looking here?" And the answer is, because the light's better. It's a really dumb joke. But the punchline is sometimes we do that with our development work. Why did you code it this way? Because the light was better. Maybe you need to actually, get down, where the thing really wants to be. And that might take extra effort to get there. But the big burning question is, do you burn all that effort without knowing, like what's really going to work? And how do you know what you know? And so it might make some sense for us to, we ought to maybe have a class period where we talk about the project. I think that would be good. And maybe that can take the place. Honestly, project days, it's just going to be tough, right? Project day is going to be a little tough because it's just harder to pull off logistically without being in the same room. So I think what we should maybe do is defer some of the prologue project days, just have you do the homework, which is mostly going to be, the homework 7, 8, 9 are just going to be hit the book, learn, take the opportunity to teach yourself the prologue, walk through the thing, and then we'll do a kind of a final project thing. But let's do that. And then let's not do the project days for prologue 1, 2, 3. But instead, we could do a little bit more discussion about how you know what you know and how you do research to try to understand what should I do? What's the system that I should, build, right? And if somebody said this system's 10 times harder to build, does that seal the deal for you? One of the things that's a struggle, and I think the current crisis is actually a really interesting case study, right? Yeah. So Nathaniel, right? Some algorithms are really easy to program, and then it makes computation time really long. There are other algorithms, by the way, that are horrible in terms of big O, like the bubble sort, that aren't even that intuitive. The bubble sort never made any sense to me to begin with. So I thought it was like hard to code and inefficient, I don't know. But anyway, I think we should take some time when we would have done project day to talk a little bit about the Java project. We'll just maybe make that due kind of on the end, Yeah, okay, right. So Ammon raised this question. One of the Ammons raised this question. The project's kind of hard just because I don't know what I don't know when it comes to memory layout and realistic heap allocation behavior. Yeah, that's right, relative to the orders of ignorance. Yeah, so Dallin, grade-wise, I don't know what we do. I mean, if we move them off, I don't know. I mean, I can also just kind of float participation points. I don't really know. I'm gonna be lenient when the dust settles. Okay, and I hope by now you trust me in that way. And I think we should only do one more midterm. I think have a closing midterm, and then kind of call it good. I don't really want to be back here on finals week. I know you don't, but I assure you I don't. So, yeah, I don't know. I really don't know, Dallin. Um, we can try to balance it out. I mean, now, and if some of you are in a situation where you're like, maybe you've been sucking it up on some of the other part, and you were really counting on those project days to lift you up, then just talk to me. Talk to me. We'll figure it out. I'll be fair when the dust settles. Okay, my friends. So we got about a half an hour right now. What I'd like to do, so test two, let's just say there's going to be one kind of closing midterm. Another thing I might do is, I could also do a closing midterm where I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think sorry, your comments are great. Your comments are great. We'll have to figure out just what we're going to do for the second midterm, and we'll probably do the online quiz again, and basically just kind of the other thing is we could also do that more like a take home where I throw some questions. I've done the study guide, right, and there was no shock between what the exam turned out to be and what was on the study guide, right? It's a very close correlation. So one approach is that we could do that more take home, but then you got to understand that if we do a take home last or second midterm, it can't be these crappy 5-word answers. You know what I mean? You can't do the little 5-word thing. Yeah, no, the midterm, Cameron, the second midterm would be it would be all the second half of stuff, whatever it is we're talking about, whatever's on these topics here, parameters, object-oriented stuff, scope. When did we do the midterm? Yeah, it's going to be, a little bit of memory management, memory location, scope, object-oriented stuff, parameters. That's kind of the idea, what we would do. Okay. So I think what I want to do, let's make a little bit of a trek forward on topics. So I'm just gonna throw up the where are we at? I am pulling up the logic programming paradigm, and we can just kind of get started, okay? There we go. All right. And once again, thank you, OBS. It's just, oops, hang on a second. Just getting the comments up. There we go. All right. Oh, wait, what happened? I thought I fired up my PowerPoint slides. Okay, hang on a second. If I switch over there, now see, that's just not right. Why am I not able? Okay, let me try one other thing. Well, now the problem is no. I know what I need to do. Sorry, I'm a doofus. I got that guy up there. Yeah, I'm just trying to be able to see maybe. Sorry. I've just got it's a configuration thing. What's happening is when I no, it's not what I want to do. No, what's happening is I need to have a browser window open so I can just see the comments. And maybe if I wonder if what happens if I do this. Now, the problem is as soon as I switch to a browser window, it's like the slideshow just goes away completely. And then I can't see the bloody comments. Okay, I got one other idea. I may be able to just track the comments like on my phone. Minimize the Chrome window on the presentation monitor. Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Yeah, if I just get rid of this guy. Well, I don't even need that. Just get rid of it there. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ammon. Thank you for tech support. Salute. Okay. Yeah, I was like, I didn't have this problem yesterday, but yesterday I like killed the browser window and I wasn't thinking about it. All right, thanks. Okay, are we ready? You know you're ready. You know you want this. You know you want to talk about logic programming. You know, by the way, the good thing is there isn't that much actual content left in this class. That's the good part. You know, really, you know, parameters, logic programming, a little prologue for the soul, a little history of programming. We'll teach you a little bit about research. I think it's going to be okay. We're going to be all right. By the way, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's discussion. I read something that, I don't want to get your hopes up, but I mean, you can also, you're big boys and girls and you can also read the news. So I'm not going to say something I shouldn't, blow the secret. But I heard, yeah, that's right. You are tech support. That's right. I heard that BYU, U of U, and Utah State were all like going to I don't even want to say this, but going to like a pass-fail for like just this semester, where, as you get your transcripts or whatever, that everybody would just understand that this was an unusual circumstance. And if that's the case, it does take a lot of pressure off, frankly. Then it's more just like, actually, here's my biggest fear is that some of you are just like, I got my, to get past fail, you got to get over like 75 or there's some, the fail is like, it's not like 61 and you get, 51 and you get a pass. It's more like 70-ish. You got to be into kind of the C range where it counts for the major. But I just realized that if we did so there's some discussion, and I think there was discussion so I'm on the faculty senate, right? So by the way, who is provolone? I haven't looked back at I don't want to call you provolone. Yeah, so if they did pass fail, it wouldn't do anything to your GPA. That's just it. It literally doesn't affect anything. But here's the problem, actually. If you transfer, so I was at the University of Iowa, right, for 2.5 years before I transferred to BYU, back when I was young and had only slightly gray hair. And by the way, I'm just looking for... Okay, provolone, identify yourself. No, it doesn't count as a 4-point. So here's what happens. It just doesn't count. It doesn't affect your GPA at all. Now, the bad news is if you were really counting... okay, Mason. Devin, okay. All right, thank you, Devin. Anyway, so Mason said they sent out an email, right, saying they're currently discussing it. And I saw something, because I'm on the faculty senate, there was something that went by. I think I'm probably in favor of it, but here's the downside. And this is what happened. I was at Iowa. And at Iowa, when you had I don't know if you guys probably don't, but back then in the 80s, we had to have a certain amount of like PE credit. Do you still have to do that? And oh yeah, by the way, Sean, thank you for bringing it up. Yes, there is a late withdrawal. Let me throw this out in case any of you are like really sucking and just want out. I'm just pulling it up here on my telephone. But it was, where is it? If somebody, it was going to be in April, basically. Oh, I was going to make a note to make sure we talked about that. But basically, the deadline to get a W, and that's a clean withdrawal, and that deadline has been shifted. And man, I'm such a dumb. I'll do. Oh, hey, Devin. Provolone. That's my new nickname for you, Devin, is Provolone. If I go... anyway, if somebody has that... Let me see. I am looking... Okay, thank you, Mason. So what does that mean to have, when you said it's been pushed to April 3, so Devin, we don't know yet if the class is going to be pass-fail. We don't know. That's the bottom line. But I'm just saying it's been discussed. And dang it. And so I don't know how the other, Cameron, you're killing me, man. Oh man, let me see. Okay, boom. Okay, I got it. Here's the email. It says, it talks about COVID-19, of course. It does say an announcement on the grading policy will be released shortly. Appreciate everybody's patience, and we are trying to figure it out, Devin, this is serious? Provolone. A kid started that you were as white as provolone cheese. Then what am I, Devin? What am I? Mozzarella? Yes, because that is how white I am. Anyway, yeah, so Erica, I'm not sure how that whole thing works, so I can't speak to the tuition thing. It's not a space I really deal in. So it says that recognizing the need to give students flexibility, we have changed the deadline to drop classes from April 3rd to April 24th. Okay, I think what that means is that the original drop date was April 3rd and it's now April 24th. But there was something I read about W's, the actual withdrawal. Maybe that's the same as the drop. You get a W if you drop at this point, right? That's right. It's late drop, so you get the W, I think. Anyway, so if you need that, it does have ramifications, right, for things like tuition and Pell Grants and, anybody that's here on a student visa. I am in no way the expert on any of that stuff. So, okay. So you're like, yeah, but Dr. K, let's talk about logic programming. And student Prestera is still pressing hard on this job. We'll get you through the Java project, okay? Don't withhold your judgment on that one, Cameron. We're going to figure this thing out. Okay. I just really like your comments. Okay, let's do 15 minutes of stuff, shall we? Yes, let's. So, see, it's so hard to focus. But we're going to do it. Where are we at here? Oh, I'm in the wrong window. Here we go. There we go. So let's do, okay, ready? This is it. This is content. I hate to say this, but this is content. We gotta talk stuff. But anyway, history and philosophy, logic programming. Why logic programming? Why is that a thing? So this is where the whole thing starts. And okay, and by the way, this is also the part when I go into like lecture mode here. If you have any comments, just whatever. Help me know that you're getting it or not getting it or confused about whatever. It'll help me to not just feel like I'm just talking to Hubert. He's so non-responsive. You know what I mean? But one of the interesting things, have you thought about this? We start talking about functional programming, and it goes way back in history. You know what I mean? It was quite old. And then you start talking about object-oriented programming, right? And you're going back to like the whatever. When were the dates? The late '60s, 1970s. It to me, it's kind of crazy that this early in the evolution of programming languages, that there was still this kind of evolution or innovation in spaces that have kind of remained, really, really relevant, which is interesting. And I guess one of my questions would be, why do you suppose that is? Or in the words of Kip, why is that? Yeah, as Kip would say, why is that? Any thoughts? Why so much of this innovation, these paradigms that they're still here today? Logic programming is still here today, okay? And what we'll talk about is the fact that database programming and logic programming are very, very similar. And I think, in my mind, they partake of a similar paradigm, at least at a coarse-grained level. I would put Prolog and SQL into a similar bucket. And I'm not going to say that like perfectly. And there's always a problem with taxonomy. Any taxonomy, like any taxonomy is always flawed at some level, right? There's no such thing as a perfect taxonomy. And so putting, SQL and Prolog, I'm waiting for comments about why it is that when there was barely anything, there was logic programming. And when there was barely anything, there was object-oriented programming very quickly, and why when there was, why? It's related, I guess, to the question of why the programming language landscape evolves, right? Our famous question from midterm 1. I'm waiting for your ideas on this before I just sort of give you my, big picture. But I do put SQL in database languages primarily because, well, the features wind up being very, very similar. So, for example, we'll get down to it, okay? Some of the reasons why they're going to be the same. No, really, you guys got nothing? All right, is everybody back asleep? Where is everybody? Hang on a second. I don't even know what that means, Ammon. People don't care about the how, they just care about the what. What do you mean by that? Okay, are you saying, Ammon, they want results that people aren't thinking to themselves, I got to stick to this paradigm. I think that's what you're getting at, right, Ammon? And it's not even, and they're not thinking about that. They're just like for example, right, the Simula folks, right? And Mike's comment is a really, really good one. Programming started well before computers, right? Yes. And then computer programming started, and it's the dawn. There's no, there's no like paradigm to follow. There's no, you know what I mean? There's a 30-second delay. Ammon. Man, I was hoping for something a little more interactive on the chat stream. Okay. Well, no. So, but to Ammon's point, I think, is you're trying to solve problems. So you're the Simula guys there in Scandinavia. You're just trying to do discrete event simulation, and you realize that if you can model objects, that they can operate independently, and it becomes kind of the right thing to do. And I think that's a big part of it. Nobody was thinking we're inventing object-oriented. They're just trying to solve a certain problem. And in the case of the Prolog guys, Alan Kolmarauer, Bob Passero, Philippe Roussel, these guys are in France. They're just trying to do natural language. They're trying to get a computer to talk, right? The elusive dream. But you know where it leads to, right? You don't want, once the computers start talking, all of a sudden it's just, Dave, what are you doing, Dave? I'm not a big fan. I don't want frickin' Siri listening in on my conversations, just so I have the flexibility to say, hey, Google, play Baby Shark. I don't want to have that flexibility in my life at the cost of a computer listening to me. But in any case, it was the elusive dream. Okay? Natural language processing. Okay. So in other words, all of these paradigms really at the end of the day just pop out. People weren't trying to invent a language or invent a paradigm. They were just trying to solve a problem. And doesn't that really come back all the way back down to the fundamental ideas we talked about with programming language paradigms from the very beginning? First class period, right, was, relative to that certain programming paradigms just lend themselves to solving certain kinds of problems, And if I want to try to do, I did a sort of a database program once, long ago. One of the first programs I did on my own. I didn't have SQL. I didn't have a relational database. I didn't have, MySQL or, whatever your SQL, server was. I didn't have any of that. I just okay, I'm going to make a linked list and I'll just, I'll get new stuff as I need it and I'll tack it onto the list and I'll save those out to a file that I can read back in and populate back out to refresh my list, my linked list. I didn't. I was just solving a problem. But if I'd gotten really intently into it, I probably would have eventually, in a vacuum, all of us, by the way, it's not like me because I'm a smart guy. You're all smart. Every one of us, if facing the same thing, eventually we'd have come up with the same things. It's not that nobody could have ever done this. It was more like, no, eventually you had to do this. That's my philosophy of all of that. Okay. Some of the other comments. Let's see. So Erica, mathematics, how that was changing. So computers were changing. I think that's absolutely right. So Abinadi, I don't know what oh my word means. I mean, I know what those words mean, but I don't know what you mean by that. So, anyway, things that are kind of, let's keep going. Let's talk a little bit more about, so it's 1972 and these guys, and so Prolog it's really not an acronym, but it's kind of an abbreviation, but it's an abbreviation of a French name. It was called Programmation Logique. How's my French? I actually do speak French, but it's too early in the morning to roll that French accent. Anyway, that gives you Prolog. It is declarative, okay? It's declarative because you don't have to tell it all the crap to do. That's in imperative programming paradigm, right? You have to give it all the steps. It's the Betty Crocker cookbook. Prolog is, I'm just going to tell you what I want. Oh, okay, Nathaniel, so dumb. I'm so dumb. Okay. Wait. Okay, Ammon, people don't care about were you talking about declarative programming? When you said, Nathaniel said, ask for what they want, don't ask how. I'm trying to figure out if you're talking about the motivation of the problem solving and what managers wanted, or if you're talking about the nature of the declarative programming sort of paradigm or idea where you don't say how to do something, you just simply say what you want. These are now converged in my head. I'm sorry. And apparently now I've learned from Ammon that there's about a 30-second delay. Okay, and I'm going to do I can run another test later, but so the idea behind Prolog was that it was a question and answer metaphor. So these guys were coming at natural language processing from the perspective of automated theorem proving, which I have to just say is something that I have played with, but I'm no expert at automated theorem proving. And there's a certain, I don't know, man, there's a certain personality type that really digs that. And it's a great area because if you can do automated theorem proving, you can do things like automated verification and validation. I can take a chunk of code and a spec and I can automatically determine at some level, if it's correct within certain boundaries, right? So there's some relationship there, but anyway, that's kind of where it came from. And so this book came in 1990. That's just a reference of a textbook. So what Kamen said in describing this idea of logic programming was that it was a programming language concept in which programs are regarded as assertions in a logic. And computation corresponds to proving or satisfying the assertions. That's the theorem proving component, okay? So, and that really is the heart of the logic paradigm. And as the slide says, not all problems really fit. And that's true of most, really all the paradigms, right? But if you get down to the way Prolog really works, and this notion of proving or satisfying the assertions, okay? And I don't know if I've got this. Yeah, I just want to say this about when we get to Prolog. Essentially, Prolog consists of you say statements. It's almost like populating a database. You're just saying the statements of stuff. And then having said these, established these facts, or these axioms, right? They're things we just know. I can then basically just sort of ask questions, but I ask questions in the following way. I'll just say like, if I've got a bunch of data about my family, right? Whose parent is who and who's whatever. And then I can just simply say, is Bob my brother? Right? Now that's an assertion, but the assertion actually is Bob is my brother. And then the system's going to go, work it, true. Or work it, false. Or I can't know that. I can also say, who are my brothers? And then it's going to basically traverse essentially like a tree structure and do this kind of depth first traversal of the logical implications. And it's going to essentially return everything that satisfies that statement. So, it's, the things that are true, it's going to return. So who are my brothers? It's going to go, Bob, Wes, Don. These are my brothers. And so that's the gist, right? But it's not unlike SQL, right? Where I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to select these tables, and then I'm going to say, I want all of these things where, right? There's that where clause, and then there's conditions that are met. When the conditions are met, then that says true, bring all those back. So there's a lot of that kind of, similarity relationship. Okay. Abinadai, I still don't know what your oh my word was all about. So here's an early result. This is 1972. Now they're using Tom and Jerry. I looked this up last time. Tom and Jerry was a cartoon cat and mouse, but I don't know if the cat and mouse were named after something else that predates 1972, or if in fact this was referring to Tom and Jerry the cartoon. I just don't know if there's a root earlier than that. But so the user just says some stuff like cats kill mice. He's just saying statements. Tom's a cat who does not like mice who eat cheese. Now we really could use, I feel like I want some parens, right? For, for sort of precedence. And Max is not a mouse. What does Tom do? What do you now know? If I ask you, what does Tom do? What do you now know? And the answer is, Tom, these are the two things that the system could tell you. Tom does not like mice who eat cheese. That's one of the things he does, is not like mice who eat cheese. And the other thing he does is kills mice. So that was what the computer said. And then the user says, who's a cat? The computer says, Tom. The user, what does Jerry eat? Cheese. So all that's happening here is that, first of all, instead of doing this in sort of like Prolog syntax, it was trying to do more of the natural language grammatical parsing, okay? So that I could actually ask, who is a cat? And it could, answer that question because of its understanding of grammar, okay, etc. And and I'm going to wrap up here real soon. But so what I had then was the system would create constants that represented the elements, like the nouns, right? It's Tom, Jerry, Max, cheese. constants that represented sets, collections of other constants. Cats, mice, mice who eat cheese, cats who do not like mice who eat cheese. Constant that represent binary relations, right, which are more like the verbs. Killing, does not like, does not like, eat. And then just other functional symbols, okay? And then, more of the coolness. So this, again, it's 1972. And the user just says these statements. By the way, is everybody still on? I've had no comments for quite a while. Just want to make sure everybody's still with me. So, every psychiatrist is a person. Every person he analyzes is sick. Let me see something. Jacques is a psychiatrist in Marseille. So I'm intermingling basically. All right, I've still got 27 viewers, so it's gone silent. Everybody's asleep. Like, I know, I wish I was. So I just say stuff, and then in the middle of it, I'm like, is Jacques a person? Where is Jacques? Is Jacques sick? And then the computer just takes in the statements, the affirmative statements, and then answers the questions. Just, yes, in Marseille, I don't know. And but this is actually what they said. Tout what's that? Psychiatre est une personne. Chaque personne qui l'analyse est malade. Jacques est un psychiatre à Marseille. Right. And that's it. So essentially, they were doing it in French with French grammar. And this was early stuff you could do with Prolog, which is kind of cool, right? And I want to just end on this. We got 2 minutes. It doesn't really matter. But when you say the logic paradigm, it's really just Prolog. I mean, really, when you talk classically, what's the logic paradigm? You go Prolog. I'm really making a case that SQL kind of is another logic programming language. It doesn't have what it lacks is the natural sort of application to things like natural language processing, which was clearly, the roots of Prolog, right? Some people will put SQL into database languages. And, some people think of database languages as a subset, of logic programming. So there's logic programming, and then there's database languages and, Prolog, I guess. I'm not really sure. Again, taxonomy is difficult. So, okay, listen, I want to just kind of stop there. We'll come back to Prolog and SQL. We're on slide 9. It's right about time. And so anyway, look for me on Discord if you need to hit me up for stuff. We will figure out what to do with the Java project. I think next time I'll talk about researchy stuff. We can either do the researchy stuff or come back and do the Prolog stuff. I don't have a super strong opinion. If you guys have ideas, I'd love to hear it. I seriously have not had any chat, anything for a while. So I'm not sure if the chat stopped working or what. But we're done. Okay. I'm going to end the stream, and this thing will be on the YouTube channel. It takes a while to kind of populate out. It'll take a while for the thing to appear. Then it'll appear for a while without the comments, and then it'll have the comments. It just sort of takes a while for YouTube to kind of populate it out. That's it, my friends. Take care. Be safe. Let me know, if you've got, just stuff popping up, and I'll work with you on it. Even you, student. Even you. Later, my friends.